Revealed, cleaning lady's daughter speaks 9 languages, an incredible story that shocked a wealthy neighborhood. Maria stood on the sun-drenched stage at the Festival of Cultures, heart racing like wild horses. She was just a cleaning lady's daughter, yet here she was, the spotlight illuminating her like a diamond among stones. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, whispers rippling through the audience. Little did they know the incredible journey that had brought her here. Every evening after a long day of scrubbing floors and dusting shelves with her mother, Maria would bury herself in textbooks, dreaming of escaping the constraints of their economic struggles. Her mother, hard at work to ensure Maria had a chance at a better life, taught her resilience. Her father, a Vietnam War veteran, echoed that perseverance as they shared stories in their modest home. Maria held fast to those lessons, fueling her desire for knowledge and a brighter future. The warmth of her mother's voice urged her on as she mastered languages, 7 to be exact, with 2 more on the way. Her world had changed when she started tutoring local kids, finding joy in sharing her passion. But when Clara's affluent family initially dismissed her as an unworthy tutor, Maria's spirit wavered. Their preconceived notions cut deep, but she pushed it aside. She had dreams to chase. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Maria's determination began to break through Clara's family's biases. They saw firsthand how Clara started to light up during their sessions. One sunny afternoon, as laughter spilled over textbooks, the distance between their worlds began to close. Then, the Festival of Cultures came. Maria sparkled like the sun, her story ready to inspire, but misunderstandings can unravel the strongest bonds. Clara innocently shared a rumor that sliced through the air like a knife, one that reminded both girls of the wealth divide. Maria felt her heart plummet. How had they slipped into a maze of assumptions? The friendship that had blossomed now teetered on the brink. The silence was thick and awkward as both families clashed. Maria's world felt like it was crashing around her. She felt isolated, the weight of disappointment heavy on her chest. Yet, courage emerged from the crowd when a community member stepped forward, urging both families to confront their biases. It's time to challenge the divide, they said. Now, on the brink of her pivotal speech, Maria needed to find her voice. The audience sat before her, a mix of judgment and curiosity in their eyes. Would she break through the barriers built by wealth? Could she convince Clara to stand by her side, or had all hope been lost? The silence hung like a thick fog, leaving Maria wondering if her dreams were worth fighting for in a world so quick to judge. How could she inspire genuine change when the connection felt so fragile? The weight of potential hung in the air, urging her on as she prepared for the greatest moment of her life. The applause faded into an expectant hush as Maria inhaled deeply. She felt the warmth of the sun on her skin and the weight of every struggle she had faced. In this moment, she was both terrified and empowered. This was her chance not just to share her story, but to change the narrative that had confined so many like her. Maria stepped forward, her heart racing. Thank you all for being here, she began, her voice steady, yet tremulous as if she were walking a tightrope. She locked eyes with Clara, who stood at the edge of the stage, an uncertain expression on her face. I am Maria. I'm the daughter of a cleaning lady. But I am also a student, a dreamer, and a lover of languages. Around her, faces shifted, flitting between curiosity and skepticism. She could feel the doubt in the air, the questions unasked yet palpable. Did she really belong here? Could a girl like her truly inspire change? I grew up in a small home filled with laughter, stories, and love. My mom taught me how to work hard, to take pride in every task I undertake, no matter how small. She gestured toward the audience, her hands alive with passion. And my father shared with me the importance of perseverance, even when faced with adversity. Maria paused, letting her words sink in. She could see the crowd leaning in, their expressions shifting, some nodding. She continued, in my journey to learn languages, I discovered more than just words. I connected with people, cultures, and stories that opened my eyes to the world. Each language represented a bridge, linking me to others who, like me, had their own dreams. But the reality of what separated them began to choke her words. Yet, I've faced challenges, too. Like when Clara's family doubted my abilities simply because of who I am and where I come from. Her voice cracked, vulnerability piercing through the bravado. That hurt. But I didn't let it define me. Instead, I pushed harder. I believed in my worth, and eventually, so did they. Maria's breath caught as she looked at Clara, who had stepped closer, her eyes wide, reflecting a mix of guilt and admiration. Clara, you showed me that friendship knows no boundaries. But we must both acknowledge that our worlds still have divides. She took a delicate step closer, her heart racing. It's time we listen to each other, to understand one another, and to challenge the beliefs that separate us. A low murmur fluttered through the crowd. Maria sensed the shift, felt the collective heartbeats pick up as she spoke from her soul. She was no longer just the cleaning lady's daughter, she was a voice for many who felt unheard. What can we do to change this? She implored. We must help others find their voices too. We need to be the change in our communities. Together, we can make barriers crumble and create bridges instead. Tears brimming in her eyes, Maria fought to hold them back. The crowd was shifting, absorbing her words as if they were tangible truths. Clara stepped forward, uncertainty replaced by a fierce determination. Let us do this together, she said, her voice rising above the murmurs, sparking a response from the crowd. As applause began to swell, Maria's heart soared, mingled feelings of hope and anxiety swirling inside. Could this really change everything? Could her fight have sparked something bigger? But just as she was about to leave the stage, a voice rang out from the back of the audience, cutting through the celebration. What do you know about real struggle? The disruption sent a shiver down Maria's spine. Maria turned slowly, tension coiling in the air like a spring ready to snap. This was not over. How would she face this challenge? What truths would emerge next? Maria's heart thudded in her chest as the voice echoed, slicing through the atmosphere like a knife. She scanned the crowd, her eyes landing on a tall figure rising from the back, a man, his face obscured by shadow but his challenge clear. The murmurs swelled again, tension crackling like electricity. What do you know about real struggle? He repeated, louder now. The words hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. Maria swallowed hard, her throat dry as she wrestled with the storm of emotions threatening to burst forth. What did she know, really? She searched her mind for the right words, desperately trying to gather her thoughts. Clara's supportive gaze encouraged her, but the man's presence loomed, a stark reminder of the doubt that often threatened to suffocate her. I know what it feels like to be overlooked, she finally responded, trying to add strength to her voice. I know what it's like to fight against the notion that who you are determines how far you can go. His laughter, brash and dismissive, sparked irritation. Sure, you've faced some bumps in the road. But struggle? True struggle? You don't understand what it means to fight for every meal or worry about keeping the lights on. She felt the truth of his words, her own fears creeping in, igniting self-doubt. But she couldn't let him define her. You're right, she admitted, taking a step forward, feeling the energy of the crowd shift. I haven't lived your experience. But I've struggled in my own way. Struggle isn't a competition. It's the personal battles we all face, and every fight matters. A ripple of surprise went through the audience. She caught Clara's eye again, a spark of pride lit up her friend's face, but the man continued to scowl, unconvinced. What about the people who don't even have a voice? He countered, undeterred. They're the real champions in the shadows. What do you plan to do for them? That question struck a chord within her. It wasn't enough just to speak, she needed to act, to do more. We can advocate for those who feel voiceless. We can build networks, communities that amplify these unheard stories. I'm here to start this conversation, to make sure every struggle is acknowledged. With each word, she felt the weight of her own journey heaving into light. There was a fire in her chest now, igniting a resolve that burned bright. Maybe I can't take on the world alone, she continued, looking at the crowd, her voice rising in volume and confidence, but together, we are stronger. Together, we can create opportunities for those who have been silenced. This is not just my fight, it's ours. The man's expression softened for the first time, uncertainty creeping in as he considered her words. The crowd was hushed now, hanging on to every syllable. The transformation in the atmosphere was tangible, something was shifting. People nodded, whispers of agreement flowed through the crowd. Maria took a deep breath, realizing that this moment wasn't just about her anymore. She was being called to unify, to call forth others who had felt the pain of being unheard. The realization set her heart aflame. As she turned back to the crowd, ready to continue, Clara stepped closer, her face lit with emotion. "You're amazing, Maria," she whispered, pride shining in her eyes. But before Maria could respond, another voice erupted from the crowd, urgent and chaotic. "Let us hear what everyone else has to say. This can't just end here." With that, the mood shifted yet again, a new wave of voices beginning to rise, a mixture of support, questions, and challenges sweeping through the assembly. Maria felt adrenaline race through her veins. The real conversation was only just beginning. What could come next? Would they be able to open this dialogue wide enough to make a difference? Could her courageous act spark something larger within her community? Maria stepped back, ready for whatever lay ahead as a wave of energy surged around her, pulsing with possibility. The crowd erupted into a symphony of voices, each one clamoring to be heard, a tangible wave of collective energy washing over Maria. It was exhilarating. The man who had confronted her now stood still, his brow furrowed, his challenge hanging in the air like a lingering ghost. It was as if he had unwittingly lit a fuse in this assembly of souls, igniting a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, their struggles were about to gain some momentum. Maria felt the pressure of eyes pinning her down but also lifting her up. So many stories were swirling in that sea of faces, and each one added weight to her own. This is what we need, she thought. A real dialogue. Let us share our stories. Called a woman from the front, her voice cracking, yet so full of determination. I've had to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. Who else with me? The crowd surged in agreement, and Maria felt her heart pounding in response. Slowly, people began to step forward, sharing tales of hardship and resilience. A young man spoke of his dreams to become a doctor but faced roadblocks that seemed insurmountable: the cost of education, the lack of mentorship. An older woman recounted how she fought to create a safe space in her neighborhood, rallying her community to reclaim their streets from violence. Every voice was vital, every struggle resonated deeply within Maria. She realized that the essence of the conversation was evolving. This was no longer just about her. This was a chorus of shared experiences, a tapestry woven from pain, hope, and courage. The man who had first confronted Maria finally stepped forward again, wrestling with his own thoughts. "And what do we do when our voices are ignored?" he asked, quieter now but still passionate. "How do we ensure our words don't fade into the noise?" Maria felt the intensity of his question. The vulnerability behind it wrapped around her heart. She stepped closer to him, her voice steady. "We form connections. We don't just speak, we listen and build platforms for others. Together, we create a movement. But it has to start here, with us willing to lift each other up." A ripple of agreement followed, igniting momentum. It felt palpable, an electric surge of ideas bursting forth. Other people began to brainstorm solutions aloud, discussing how they might work together to form support networks, community outreach programs, even workshops that could equip everyone with the tools needed to amplify their messages. Clara looked at Maria, her eyes shimmering with admiration. "This is incredible," she whispered, her excitement almost contagious. Maria caught her breath, realizing that this wasn't just an assembly, this was a dawning coalition, a spark of change ready to ignite. The group pressed forward, capturing their ideas with a fervor that made the air feel thick with possibility. But as the sun began to dip lower, casting long shadows, Maria noticed the uncertain looks from some of those who had stepped forward. The struggle wasn't simply about speaking out, fear of repercussions, fear of dismissal lingered. Suddenly, a voice from the back rose above the chatter, a whisper that cut through everything like a knife. "But what happens when we actually try to take action? What if they push us back?" The question loomed like a storm cloud, casting a shadow over the vibrant patchwork of hope they had begun to weave. Silence fell over the crowd. Maria's heart stuttered. Was she ready for that fight? Determined to answer, she drew a deep breath, ready to transform the air of uncertainty into a declaration of resilience. "Maybe they will," she began, feeling the fire return. "But the moment we speak up, we become the voices that cannot be ignored. We cannot let fear quiet our fight." The tension crackled again, thickening the air. The time had come to step forward into the unknown and embrace whatever came next. Would they rise together in defiance? Would they be willing to face the pushback? Maria could feel the atmosphere shift again, a heavy anticipation resting on her shoulders, urging her towards the next step. The buzz of anticipation hung thick in the air, simmering with possibilities. Maria's voice cut through it, strong and fierce. "We've got to unite. Our stories bind us, but action will define us." The crowd shifted, restlessness mingled with excitement, eyes flickering with resolve. Maria stepped back, taking a moment to absorb the energy of the collective. She locked eyes with the young man who had first posed the question. His expression was a mixture of skepticism and hope, reflected in the eyes of many. They were searching for answers, and she felt the weight of their unvoiced fears. Suddenly, the crowd began to stir restlessly, voices bouncing off one another. "What kind of action?" Someone called from the back. "Is it really safe to push back? Do we organize a protest?" Another suggested, more outrage than conviction in their voice. "And what if it changes nothing?" Came a softer voice, laced with doubt. Maria's heart raced. She understood their hesitations but couldn't let them be chained by fear. "It may not change everything," she said, urgency threading her words, "but even small steps can create waves. We need to show we won't be silenced." The murmurs of agreement swelled again, but not everyone was convinced. A woman with tired eyes, holding her child close, spoke up. "I can't afford to risk losing my job. My son depends on me." Her voice shook, pulling at Maria's heartstrings. Maria acknowledged her. "I get it. We can't let our families down. But what if we create a safe space? A place where we support each other while pushing for the changes we need?" "I want to believe that," the woman murmured, glancing around the crowd, searching for encouraging faces. "All it takes is one voice to inspire another," Maria urged, feeling her own passion ignite. "We have to show up for each other, even when it's daunting. What if we shared those stories loudly? What if we started a community project that gives us a platform? Let us be that voice." A ripple of hope rejuvenated the crowd. It started as a soft chorus, then rose to an unwavering crescendo. People began to shout out ideas wildly, thoughts colliding in a whirlwind of innovation. Someone suggested a community event, a gathering where they could all share their stories and solutions, not as individuals but as families, as a unit. But just as the atmosphere brightened with enthusiasm, the weight of potential backlash crept back into the room. Someone shouted out, "What if they shut us down before we even begin?" The fear was real, and a silence descended again. Maria could feel a shadow creeping in, a reminder of past attempts squashed by those in power. But she also recognized something else, a deep-seated strength in this group. Then we show them we will not be pushed aside. We plan carefully and we hold each other accountable, she said, infusing her words with determination. Everyone here has a stake in this, and together, we can do things we never thought possible. Before long, the crowd began to buzz once more. But then, a powerful presence emerged as the man who had first challenged her stepped forward, brow still furrowed. I'm tired of feeling powerless. Let us do this together. But let us make it real. We need to strategize. Yes. Maria exclaimed, buoyed by his words, heart pounding with newfound energy. Let us set up a meeting. We decide how we want to make an impact. As the ideas flowed, Maria felt the air shift. It wasn't just about confrontation, it was about building strength through collaboration. And as she looked around at the faces lit up with potential, she knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but it would be worthwhile. With the sun sinking lower, casting golden rays over them, this assembly had transformed into something greater than she could have imagined. It was raw, it was messy, but it was brimming with promise. And just as they began piecing together their plan, a loud crash echoed from the back of the crowd, causing heads to turn sharply. An official in a sharp suit stepped forward, eyes scanning the crowd. What is going on here? He demanded, hostility in his voice. Breaking through their moment like glass shattering on the floor. The air turned electric again, fatigue and fear forgotten in the face of immediate danger. Maria took a sharp breath, the moment of truth suddenly upon them. Would they hold their ground or scatter at the first sign of turbulence? The stakes had just gotten higher. Maria felt her pulse quicken as the official loomed over them, a dark cloud threatening the bright flickering flames of hope they had just ignited. Their unity was fragile, a single storm could scatter them like leaves in winter wind. Everyone, stay calm. She called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. We're just sharing ideas for community support. The official's eyes narrowed, his presence demanding attention. Sharing ideas, or stirring up trouble? You all need to disperse. This isn't a playground. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Fear and uncertainty rippled like a pebble dropped into a pond. Maria felt every gaze turned toward her, searching for guidance. Do you really think we're just playing here? She replied, firm but measured, stepping forward, willing to face this man who clearly underestimated their resolve. We're not here to cause chaos, we're here to find solutions. The people in this community have stories, needs, and rights that matter. We just want to be heard. The crowd stirred restlessly as supportive nods began to emerge. Some clenched their fists, others murmured their agreement. The young man who had challenged her earlier stood tall beside her, expression burning with defiance. The official crossed his arms, a smirk creeping across his face. I'm sure you think your little gathering matters. But believe me, the higher-ups will find it amusing, if they notice it at all. That struck a chord. Maria gritted her teeth. This isn't a joke, sir. We're not insignificant. We're mothers, workers, neighbors, and citizens. Every one of us matters, and we deserve a chance to share our voice. A shift happened. Someone in the back shouted, "We have rights." They whispered it, then chanted it, until the whole crowd echoed, "We have rights." Maria's heart soared at the chorus rising from the depths of wavering spirits. The official stepped back, brow furrowed, caught off guard by the sudden surge of power emanating from this collective. He opened his mouth as if to retort, but the words died on his lips. See. Maria pressed forward, emboldened. This is what happens when people stand together. We're not backing down. The energy surged around them, anger intertwining with determination. Maria caught the eye of the woman with the child, who now wore a fierce expression of support. Even the official seemed momentarily shaken, uncertainty flickering behind his composed demeanor. All right, he relented, though his tone was still unfriendly. Do what you want, but keep it quiet and be smart about it. I won't protect you if it hits the fan. The crowd erupted, cheers mingling with relief. Maria felt the wave of renewed strength wash over her. They weren't finished yet. Let us take this energy and channel it, she called out, heart still racing. I propose we meet again, tomorrow at the community center. We'll brainstorm more ideas, make plans, but we do it together. This is just the beginning. As the crowd slowly began to disperse, an undercurrent of excitement buzzed through the air. People talked animatedly, exchanging phone numbers, shaking hands, and sharing stories. Maria felt gratitude swell within her. No one can break us now, she whispered to herself, content with the strength in numbers. But just as she turned to leave, a familiar face approached from the edges of the crowd. Maria. It was Daniel, the reporter she had clashed with before, his tone cautious, curiosity written all over his face. Are you really going to cover this? Isn't it dangerous? A sudden apprehension flickered before her resolve solidified once more. What if it is? We only grow stronger when we refuse to be silenced. As Daniel nodded, pen poised, she realized how essential their collaboration would be. But she also feared how the world outside this bubble of hope might react to their plans. Was she right to invite the media in? The courage felt exhilarating, but as she watched him ready to report, questions circled her mind. Would they find enough strength to face the pushback? Would the media portray their cause fairly? With the weight of possibility hanging in the air, Maria took a deep breath, an electric thrill coursing through her. She felt the grounding pulse of a movement gaining momentum, but what would it cost them all as they stepped into the light? Maria barely slept that night. Her mind spun with thoughts of the crowd's energy, their chants echoing in her ears. She felt the weight of the moment, the gravity of change looming just outside their reach. Glancing out her window, she noticed the first light of dawn creeping over the horizon, a quiet reminder that the sun rises regardless of the night's struggles. She pushed herself out of bed, feeling a blend of excitement and anxiety swirl in her chest. It was a new day, and with it came endless possibilities. As she brewed her morning coffee, her phone buzzed on the table, a message from Daniel. I'm ready to keep this story moving. See you at the center. Definitely, she typed back, her fingers trembling slightly. In that small exchange, it struck her how quickly this was all evolving. Could they really make a difference? And at what cost? With each sip of coffee, she revisited the faces of those who rallied around her. The fierce mother, the young man full of fire, the elderly gentleman who clapped with fervor. They all seemed to blend into one collective spirit, a lifeline that surged with hope and determination. But a nagging voice in her head whispered doubts. What if it all fell apart? What if the official had been right all along? Determined not to let fear hold her back, she dressed quickly and made her way to the community center. As she walked, she took in the neighborhood, every familiar sight filling her with both nostalgia and resolve. This was more than just a gathering. It felt like a moment that could ignite a spark across their community. When she arrived, the scene was alive. People buzzed about, some decorating tables, while others set up chairs. The energy was palpable. Conversations sparked everywhere she turned. Maria's chest swelled with pride at the sight of so many coming together, ready to voice their dreams and concerns. Maria. A cheerful voice brought her back. It was Anita, a close friend from the neighborhood. Hey. Thanks for getting here early. Maria smiled, pulling her into a brief hug. Of course. I brought cookies for everyone, Anita said, holding up a tray, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Figured we could use some sweetness for this gathering. Maria laughed, feeling the buoyancy in her spirit grow. You always know how to uplift us. Let us get these out. As they handed out cookies, the room continued to fill with familiar faces and new ones. Laughter filled the air, harmonizing with the serious discussions beginning to take shape. A small group congregated in a corner, jotting ideas down on a whiteboard. Someone proposed a community garden to promote sustainability and bring neighbors together. Another suggested resource-sharing initiatives to help those in need. Maria stepped forward to facilitate the discussions, and suddenly, she felt the weight of leadership settling comfortably on her shoulders. She spoke about the gathering's purpose, urging everyone to share their ideas without fear. Each voice mattered, she reminded them, and every thought had the power to transform. But then, just as momentum built, tension seeped into the air. The door swung open, and in walked the official from the previous day. His presence dimmed the room's excitement, and whispers rippled through the crowd. "What is he doing here?" someone murmured, concern weaving through the faces around her. Maria's heart raced. She knew this could spell trouble, but something within her fired up. "Let us be brave," she murmured under her breath, drawing in a steadying breath. "Excuse me," she called, pointing directly at the official, her voice unwavering. "We're not hiding from you today. We're here to stand united." The crowd's energy shifted, gathering strength from her boldness. The official's expression darkened, but determination flickered in Maria's heart. As the crowd readied itself for confrontation, Maria realized she had stepped into a pivotal moment. Would this be the tipping point for their cause? Or was it a setback waiting to unfold? With uncertainty looming, Maria locked eyes with the official, the future of their movement hanging in the balance. Would they rise together, or would this man snuff out their flame? She couldn't let fear overtake her, she had to lead. "Let us begin," she said, heart pounding, her voice rising above the murmurs. "This is our time." And from that point, she wondered just how far they would go to protect their voice. What would happen next? Maria stood tall, the moment stretching like a taut string, ready to snap. The official's heavy gaze bore down on her, but she refused to flinch. His presence was a storm cloud breaching the vibrant blue of their optimism. Hands clenched at her sides, she seized the empowering energy swirling in the room, feeling it pulse beneath her skin. "Why are you here?" someone shouted from the back, breaking the tension like a pebble skipping across a still lake. Murmurs echoed in agreement, a surge of voices rising together, unsure but united. The official cleared his throat, his confidence flickering like a candle threatened by a breeze. "I came to remind you that this," he gestured to the buzzing crowd, "is nothing more than a distraction. You're wasting your time here." "Distracting?" Maria challenged, her voice cutting through the air. "No, this isn't a distraction. This is hope. This is about our future." She glanced at the crowd, their eyes were fixed on her, waiting for encouragement, for permission to fight back. "We are here to build a stronger community. To support one another." Anita shot her a thumbs up from the corner of the room, a sweet reminder of their shared mission. Scowling, the official moved forward, his footsteps echoing ominously. "And what do you think you can achieve? You'll simply be ignored, just like before. Do you think a few meetings will change anything? Change starts with us." Maria exclaimed, her passion igniting a flame in those gathered. "This is our chance to be heard, to express our needs." A ripple of agreement surged through the crowd, and she could see it, hope sparking in the eyes of people who had often been sidelined. "Do you want to be heard?" she shouted, the words escaping her like a battle cry. "Can we rely on each other? Let us stand together, and let us make those in power listen." "Yes." A voice rang out, and soon the whole room echoed with yes. 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 The air thickened with shared determination, rising and swelling. Maria felt her heart race, a rhythm entwined with the crowd's pulse, but the official pressed on, his voice rising, trying to slice through the resolve building around them. "You think this will matter? You're just a bunch of dreamers." "Dreamers? We are the dreamers and the doers." Maria shot back, her heart thundering. "And we're tired of waiting for someone else to tell us what we need. We are ready to act." She stepped forward, meeting his eyes without wavering. "You may think this is a waste of time, but look around you. This is a community that cares, that wants to grow, and that refuses to be silenced. The official narrowed his eyes, and for the first time, he seemed to falter, his bravado slipping away. Behind him, the door swung open, and a pair of latecomers entered, a father holding his tired child and a young woman clutching a fading flyer. Their arrival felt like a collective breath, it reminded them of the bigger picture. See that? Maria pointed to the new arrivals. These people are here because they believe in a better tomorrow. They are our neighbors, their voices matter. With every word spilling from her lips, Maria felt an electricity coursing through her veins, a connection to those around her. She didn't just feel responsible, she felt like a leader. As silence fell, she turned to the crowd. Let us not just dream. Let us make our plans tangible. We've got ideas, a community garden, resources for those struggling, support for our local businesses. Let us bring those to life. With each suggestion, nods and murmurs of agreement spread like ripples in water. The crowd was alive, awakening from a slumber that had held them captive for too long. But as the official clenched his fists, frustration etched on his face, Maria understood this wasn't over. Would he give in, or would he come back with force? The room buzzed with excitement for what was to come, but Maria sensed the impending clash. This wasn't just about hope anymore. It was a battle for the heart of their community. Are we ready to fight for our voices? She asked, fueled by a blend of adrenaline and uncertainty. The crowd thundered back, yes. But if an opposition was rising within their own ranks, who could they truly trust? Maria felt a chill run down her spine, the question lingering in the air. What other truths might be hiding just beneath the surface? Maria's heart raced as the echoes of yes faded into a sudden hush. There was magic in their voices, yet the dimming light of reality started to creep back in. Where was the opposition coming from? She scanned the faces in the crowd, searching for signs of dissent. A few furrowed brows hinted at uncertainty, and it gnawed at her. The official stood stiffly at the front, seemingly fueled by his frustration. You want to talk about hope? Hope won't pay the bills, and it won't fix the potholes in your roads, he retorted, eyes searching for cracks in their enthusiasm. True, Maria shot back, the urgency in her voice rising again. But we don't need to wait for someone else to come fix it. We can be the ones making changes. One step at a time, we can rebuild what's broken. The crowd responded with murmurs of agreement, but Maria noticed a young man in a faded hoodie standing at the back. He appeared unsure, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. She locked eyes with him, inviting a connection. You look like you have something on your mind, she called out, pointing him out gently. His hesitance shifted into hesitation. What's stopping you? He took a deep breath, then stepped forward, still reluctant but determined. I want to believe in what you're saying, but I've seen so many dreams shatter before. It feels like a waste of energy. His eyes were filled with doubt, but Maria could see a flicker of hope. That's a fair point, she replied, feeling the tension in the air shift. But what if we channel that pain into progress? Together, we have a chance to build something real. Each of us brings unique gifts and struggles. We can lift each other up. The crowd murmured in agreement, the energy in the room thickening with possibility. Yet, Maria knew there were still hidden barriers yet to be revealed. Let us turn this frustration into action. She encouraged, sensing the crowd stir with newfound resolve. What about creating a local task force? Just think, local heroes working together to fix issues that matter to us. More voices chimed in with ideas. We could host community cleanup days, shouted a woman in the front. Yes. And we could organize workshops to share skills, another voice followed, growing bolder. Maria grinned, emboldened by their growing excitement. Exactly. Imagine what we can achieve with just a few hours each week. We are all in this community together. Let us lighten each other's burdens. But deep down, worry clawed at her. What if this movement unraveled at the seams? What if there were fractures beneath the surface, threatening to choke their hope? As if reading her mind, the official interjected again with greater hostility. You think this will change anything? You'll be wasting your time, and soon, you'll be back where you started. Maria squared her shoulders. If hope is a waste, then I'm proudly wasting my time. The cheering crowd erupted once again, but the tension remained. A sudden voice from the edge of the crowd caught her attention. An elderly woman stood, her face lined with years of wisdom and weariness. We've been promised a lot in the past, but trust is built through action. Are we really ready to put ourselves out there? What if we fail? The anxious glances exchanged among the crowd struck a chord of unease. Would they stand together when faced with defeat? Maria felt her stomach churn. Doubt hovered in the air like clouds before a storm, waiting for the right moment to unleash its rain. Failure is just a part of the journey, Maria countered, her voice steady. Every rose has its thorns, but they're also what make the journey beautiful. Are we prepared to embrace both success and failure? The room grew quiet, each person wrestling with their thoughts. As the crowd's unity hung by a thread, Maria took a deep breath, heart pounding in her chest. She sensed the pivotal choice before them: would they move forward, or retreat into silence once again? Just then, a loud bang echoed from outside, capturing everyone's attention. What was happening now? Maria's unease escalated into dread, but she knew she had to guide them through. Together, she called, whatever comes together, we face it. Will you stand with me? Names scrawled across hearts, but amid their cries, shadows loomed, waiting for the right moment to pounce. What was waiting outside, and how would it reshape everything they thought they knew? The crowd's energy was palpable as they processed Maria's words, but just as anticipation thickened the air, the door burst open. A group of officials and law enforcement officers entered, the weight of authority in their strides. The volume dropped, tension spiraling as the realization hit: they weren't just here to observe, they were here to enforce silence. What's going on here? One of the officers barked, surveying the room like a hawk spotting its prey. Maria felt a cold rush of fear wash over her. This was the moment she dreaded. Would unity crumble under pressure? Your voices are too loud for a small gathering, another official claimed, arms crossed tightly, signaling their resolve. Maria's heart raced. They had come so far, and she couldn't let fear extinguish the flames they'd ignited. As the crowd's murmurs began to rise, a surge of bravery took over Maria. We are here to discuss solutions for our community, and our voices matter, she declared, her voice ringing clear. This is not a crime, it's a conversation about improving our lives. Conversations? Or rebellion? One officer retorted, stepping closer, making the distance between them seem smaller, menacing. The crowd murmured again, fear prickling at the edges of their resolve. Maria seized the moment. Together, we can't be ignored any longer. We deserve respect. Her words hung in the air and echoed back to her, igniting a spark in the crowd. She locked eyes with the elderly woman who had spoke earlier, who now stood tall, her presence a firm foundation. We've faced struggles for years, but today, we build a bridge, she called out, determination lighting her face. Hesitation gave way to solidarity as others began to rise. We have the right to voice our concerns, shouted the young man in the hoodie. We won't back down. The crowd rallied, shifting like a wave, a living organism empowered by collective resistance. Maria stepped forward, heart pounding. We might be few in their eyes, but we are thousands in spirit. If they want silence, they have to fight against the strength of community. The crowd roared their agreement, voices echoing louder than before, wrapping around the officers like a tidal wave. The officer who had challenged her faltered, glancing at his colleagues. Perhaps they hadn't expected this kind of pushback, a tide of hope rising where fear had tried to drown them. This is not over, another officer warned, though he barely concealed uncertainty in his eyes. They were losing their grasp, and Maria felt emboldened. She stepped ahead, feeling a powerful shift. We are here to forge connections and solutions, not chaos. Let us redirect this energy. She turned to her neighbors. Now is the moment to come together. What do we want to say? What change can we hope for? Voices erupted. Some called for better schools, while others demanded safer neighborhoods. One mother insisted on resources for families struggling to keep the lights on. Each sentiment resonated, amplifying their fervor. Together, they painted a picture of hope, igniting a collective purpose that stretched beyond walls. Even the officials seemed to pause, thrown off guard by the sheer volume of passionate demands merging into one resounding chorus. We matter. We demand respect. Rose up from the crowd like a battle cry. Maria felt the crowd push around her, encircled by voices that clashed against bureaucracy. Let us take this energy and act on it. She cried. There is no need for an us versus them when we can unite. Then, unexpectedly, the police chief stepped forward, his posture signaling both authority and a hint of weariness. If you truly wish to advocate for change, let us see you organized. I want to hear solutions, not just noise. A hush fell over the crowd again, as the challenge posed by the chief lingered in the air. Maria caught Clara's eye, her friend's expression reading both apprehension and determination. Together, they could tackle this head-on. Let us create a task force, Maria suggested boldly. A real partnership between community members and local officials. The crowd nodded, murmurs of approval weaving through their ranks, voices rising. We can do this. An older gentleman shouted with renewed vigor. But we need to ensure we're heard in the right places. We need respect at the table, not just in the streets. That's it. Maria said, feeling a surge of hope course through her. We will not let fear control us. We're tired of sitting back and watching. It's time to act. Together. Every voice echoed her resolve, rallying behind the idea of unity. The officer's expression softened for the first time. All right, we can look into forming that task force. But you must understand this will take time and real commitment. Then let us get started today. Maria punctuated her words, heart racing with exhilaration. If we want change, we must create it ourselves. The crowd erupted again, cheers ringing out, and with it something deep inside Maria shifted. This was it, they had taken their stand. The fear that lingered moments before now gave way to empowered hearts and minds ready to create transformation. At the back, the elderly woman beamed with pride. The young man in the hoodie stepped forward, ready to be part of the solution. Clara squeezed Maria's hand as if to say, we did this together. As the atmosphere swelled with determination, Maria felt tears of joy pooling in her eyes. Each face around her glowed with a shared vision, a community rising together. They would create their own narrative, break down barriers, and build bridges. Let us take our first steps, together. Maria projected, her spirit soaring higher than clouds. United, they began writing their own story, and the chapter of fear finally closed, replaced by resilience and camaraderie. In that moment, Maria knew it wasn't just about her anymore. They were a symphony of voices that would no longer echo unheard. They were ready to take flight. Their journey had only just begun. Now, here's where you come in. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could inspire change in your own community. Leave a like now. Every click feeds the algorithm and helps us reach those who need these messages of hope and unity. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. We want to hear your voice, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video. Send it to at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Let us spread the message far and wide. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.